Thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hear this podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next episode. For more information on how to work with me, Miss Amber, visit me at thelovingstartway.com or follow me on Insta at thelovingstartway. Welcome to the ABCs of Preschool podcast. I'm your host, Miss Amber. Thanks for listening. This week, we're going to be talking about finding your dream team. If you are a preschool owner, a daycare provider, if you're a director of a preschool childcare center, if you are a parent and you are considering homeschooling and maybe trying to figure out a homeschool co-op, I've really been hearing a lot of this lately on shows I've been on. You may be wanting to find your most amazing educator or teacher. So today's episode is, how do you find your dream team? This is probably one of the hardest, most difficult things in early childhood education. And what I'm finding is, it's actually, I guess, almost 24 years since I've been in the business. I opened up my own school, and I'm finding it goes in waves. Sometimes you can find amazing teachers, and sometimes it's like a famine. It's a drought. It's like so hard to find incredible early childhood educators. So today I'm going to try to give you some tips on finding your dream team, because I believe the reality is you do not have an amazing program, right, until you have your amazing teachers. Now, you may be a one-person show. I've been that way for a minute, but it didn't last very long. Very quickly, early on, I think I lasted 6 months until I hired my first employee when I was running my preschools from my home. And I hired 2 teachers within 6 months. I was also a new mom. I was also pregnant with my second. So I was juggling mom life and learning how to be an entrepreneur and learning how to run a preschool. So I've had teachers, employees, I don't like to say employees, team members with me, working alongside with me for 24 years. The first tip I'm going to share with you on a lot of my secrets of the trade is putting your staff first. Let me say that again. I believe wholeheartedly, and I don't know if anybody's going to change my mind on this one, is tip number 1 is putting your team first, then your clients. So this episode is finding your dream team. You may have someone now. Part of finding your dream team is keeping them and not having turnover. So the first part of finding your dream team is realizing that your priority should be staff first, then clients, because it's just like a relationship, a marriage. You always hear happy wife, happy life, happy teachers, happy school. So if you go in with the mindset, if you're ready to bring on an aide, an assistant, you're ready to bring on more team members, you need to realize you need to make them a priority. They should come first. When you have a happy, in sync, unified team that's dynamic and is dedicated and passionate, and they really gel together and they work together well, it will trickle down and you will have a highly successful, long-term, thriving childcare center or a home daycare center or a preschool. So the first tip that I want to share is really switching the mindset. A lot of times we say customers come first and customers are always right. Your team comes first. And I don't know how I learned that, but just along the way, that's how I've operated, is your team should come first. Number 2 is when you're looking for a team member, I like to ask parents. So if you're struggling finding with a team member, ask Send out a note to parents. Hey, do you know anybody that's a fabulous, that loves kids, loves early childhood education? Referrals are the best. And then what you do is you give them a tuition discount. Hey, we're doing like a referral or a finder fee if you can find an amazing teacher. I've had so many amazing teachers that were actually started off as clients of mine. They had their little ones at my preschools, and then they became teachers because they loved it so much. That's happened multiple times. So if you're struggling to find someone, put the word out and ask. So ask for referrals of people they know. It could be nannies or babysitters. I know it's hard to find people that are actually qualified. So my tip is, if you find that person that is awesome, they have the right vibe, you know they're going to fit in really well to your school, but they do not have the units, suck it up, buttercup. I would say snag them and put them into school immediately. And I know it's going to be a pain for a few months. It's going to be annoying because they won't have enough. They won't be able to watch as many kids as you would like. But if you can find the core of the person that is just amazing, kind, awesome, dedicated, enthusiastic, you know they're going to fit in, but they don't have their units, suck it up. We've done this multiple times, especially in recent years. I believe less and less people are getting into this industry. So when you do come across someone that is just pouring out love, you're going to snag them immediately and figure out the qualifications and figure out the units later. So that's tip number 2. Well, maybe tip number 3. So the first tip is really dialing in and believing your team comes first. Happy team, happy school. Number 2, if you're looking for teachers, ask for referrals from your clients, from your parents. If they know someone amazing, and that's just a really great way. There's also Indeed. I use Indeed a lot, Craigslist, but referrals are also really great. And part of that referral is you may find that a mama or a parent loves kids and actually is looking for a job. And I'm telling you, that's happened to me so many times. They were clients turned teachers. So that's tip number 2. And lastly, tip number 3 is pay. And with pay included vacation time. So I understand this industry. It's an industry that I try to explain to others that has a ceiling, it has a cap. And we cannot, as preschool owners, as the business owners of childcare centers or daycares, we cannot charge this this crazy amount. We just can't do it. We can't keep increasing until it becomes unaffordable. Then we will have no clients. So it's this balance of tuition, but there's a point where tuition just can't get any higher. And that means for this business in early childhood education, there is a cap of what you can make and what your gross numbers can be, unless you have room and space to expand. But if you're in a home daycare and you're a home daycare provider, you only have your 6 kids or your 12 kids, right? Or your 8 kids or your 14 kids. You cannot get any higher. That's just how it is. And depending your space for your childcare center, same thing. You can't just throw 50 kids into a room that is only licensed for 20. You can't do it. You can get in big trouble and lose your license, but there is only a certain amount that we can enroll with kids. So that trickles down to the staff. So when you pay your team, you want to make sure you're paying competitively. And what I've done for years is I've thrown a ton of vacation in. It is not normal for preschools, daycare centers, childcare centers to take the amount of time off that we do at Loving Start Learning Centers. We've always set up our schedule from day one since 2001, and I'm very proud of this. No matter if it's a full-time or part-time school, since 2001, I've set up my program to follow the local school district programs. So all the public schools, K through 12, we follow their calendar. And what that means is, so at Thanksgiving, we're closed for a week at Thanksgiving. We are closed 2 weeks at Christmas, 1 week at Easter, all the floating holidays. If there's a ski week in the area, we close down. But tuition remains the same. I've always done my schools. We have one rate. You pay it no matter if your child is sick or ill, you go on vacation or not, or if we're closed. Tuition remains the same. And this allows my teachers to get, I think a lot of times it's 5 weeks because 2, 3, 4, two of my schools, they have 5 paid weeks during the year from August through May, plus their floating holidays. It's almost, I think it's 29 days of paid vacation. Plus, for every year they work, so if you're past 5 years, you get an additional 7 days. Vacation and time off is a great way to remain and keep your staff, because we have to realize a lot of people working in the early childhood field are parents, and they have their kids too. And so they're juggling work, home life, and work life. So we have to really give grace to our staff, and we have to be flexible. So offering a ton of time off is a huge benefit, where we can't pay as much as we want, but we can give a lot of time off, and we can give if they're sick. There's a lot of back and forth. So I encourage you to not be so strict with your team. There's a grace that has to go in, because you really want to take care of their soul, of all of them, right? They have to be rested. I always say this when I run tours, like, my teachers are the best teachers around because they have breaks. They have time off, so they get to show up on fire, dedicated, passionate every single day because they have all that time off. So I encourage you to really look at your schedule and see how to find your dream team and keep them from the long haul, offer time off for them. So those are just 3 of my tips for finding your dream team. Last tip I'll give you is socials. Really take time out, do staff meetings with dinner, socials, do fun activities. It's really a great way to do team building. And people like going to their job when they have friends and they get along well with others. So my key, the last thing I'm going to say one last time, is if you treat your staff as the head, as number one, what are their needs? Then everything else will fall into place with your business, and you will have long-term success and a very thriving childcare center. But that is just my philosophy. Hope you guys enjoy your week. Wish it, dream it, do it. I'll see you here next week. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hear this podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next episode. For more information on how to work with me, Miss Amber, visit me at thelovingstartway.com or follow me on Insta at thelovingstartway.